Hey everybody, Matty here with Altcoin Buzz. Happy Saturday, happy weekend. We're taking a look at the price fluctuations today, which unfortunately have gone to the downside by a few percentage points. We'll discuss that and overall, kind of from a more macro perspective, why Bitcoin is going down at this time. It's happening in parallel with unprecedented financial relief from the Federal Reserve. We'll take a look at that. We'll also discuss Zcoin here, and we'll get to the winner of this week's Crypto Tag Zeus Starter Kit by selecting a comment at random. Stay tuned to the end of the video to see if you're the winner. Guys, if you like this kind of Bitcoin, blockchain, and cryptocurrency content, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and tune in for more videos. All right, let's kick things off with a look at the market here on coinmarketcap.com. As you can see, we've taken a tumble to the tune of several $billion, sitting currently at $175 billion total market cap. Bitcoin down just over 6% on the day, as are many other projects, down 3, 4, 5, 6, 7%. Bitcoin right now at the time of this recording sitting at $6,261 with a dominance of 65.3%. So why exactly is Bitcoin going down in the midst of everything else that is happening right now? Well, it was actually a pretty sudden move, and the drop was very notable only after the equity markets closed red. As you can see here, the Dow Jones just before closing dropped rather abruptly 915 points, or just over 4%. This came after a relatively strong week of performance. We've been steadily mounting. I think some of that speaks to the confidence that individuals collectively have, for better or worse, in the stimulus package that has been proposed recently by the government and the Federal Reserve. So in recent days, we've climbed up a little bit. We've regained some of those losses, but it doesn't quite compensate for the losses we've seen over the last several weeks. So the leading theory right now is that Bitcoin dropped in response to that late day drop in equity markets. And yes, it is a move which is mirrored by the performance of traditional markets, which also closed their day with losses. So the Dow, as I just mentioned, lost 915 points. The S&P 500 pulled back 3.37%, and the Nasdaq was down about 3.8%. So as COVID-19 continues to spread around the world, its impact on the lives of people is slowly mounting. And even despite positive measures that we're taking, where we're doing more and more testing, speaking from the North American perspective, that means the numbers are going to go up one way or the other. The unemployment rate in the United States and Europe is going up very quickly as well. And the financial markets around the world are plunging despite government's efforts, as the Dow Jones, again, along with other markets, closed at a loss. And we can also see this impact, of course, in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency sector. It's why Bitcoin dropped nearly 8% in these last 24 hours. You also have the impact of miners that are apparently shutting down operations due to unprofitability after the crash earlier this month in March, and the massive drop of Bitcoin subsequently led to significant miner instability as mining became unprofitable. And this forced a number of miners to remove their hashing power from the network. That's according to blockchain analytics firm Glassnode. Similarly, Chinese mining pool F2 Pool also reported on the 12th of March that Bitcoin's daily mining revenue was suffering more losses than during the price lows of November and December 2018. When some miners retreated due to unprofitability following the crash, Bitcoin experienced its second largest historical drop in difficulty ever. And according to Glassnode data, Bitcoin's difficulty, which is a measure that indicates the time taken by miners to add new transactions to the Bitcoin network, that difficulty dropped almost 16% on March 25th. While some industry players think that downward difficulty adjustment completes the so-called miners' capitulation cycle, others are confident that such events mark a bottom in the market. I've always said it before, the difficulty of Bitcoin is a leading indicator of either confidence or lack of confidence in what is to come several months down the line. So unfortunately, a 16% drop on the 25th of March is unfortunately not a good sign, if I'm just going to be candid here. But as always, we are in this for the long term, and here's a perspective that I think is worth observing from prospect.org, the American Prospect. Unsanitized bailouts, a tradition unlike any other. This from just a couple of days ago on the 25th of 2020. And I talked about it in the other day's video about how, you may be excited, you may be encouraged by the fact that if you're an American citizen, you'll be receiving at least, it seems like, a $1,200 check. By the way, there's a lot of other money going elsewhere to other government bodies, to organizations, because if you splice up $2 trillion and distribute that evenly among the American population of approximately $330 million. You should be getting a check for much more than just $1,200, but obviously there's bloat, there are support structures to which some of that money has to go. It's probably being laundered. I wouldn't be surprised in one way or the other. I don't trust the government to distribute anything personally. But whether or not you're a fan of the action in the first place, the idea is that $2 trillion is still going to be added to the federal debt. So that is still something that is on the shoulders of American citizens that they'll have to pay back over time. You're just borrowing from yourselves, from your future selves, for immediate relief. And that's not all. The unfortunate secondary impact is that it's going to dilute the power of existing currency through inflation. This article rewinds back to 12 years ago. Banks asked for a bailout after years of irresponsible, highly leveraged lending, and the Treasury Department put out a 3-page term sheet seeking money from Congress with no strings attached, even eliminating judicial review. And Democrats balked, called it a slush fund, and worse, then agreed after a few mostly meaningless bits of oversight and some promises to help ordinary people. That $700 billion bailout was window dressing for trillions that came from the Federal Reserve, but it kept Congress quiet, hooking them into the rescue of the system. Fast forward 12 years, and we have virtually now the same course of events that are taking place. After just a couple of weeks of extreme social distancing measures, the Treasury Department asked for a large bailout, and this time of the entire corporate sector. The bill that was written initially would have made all bailouts activities secret for 6 months. Democrats balked, called it a slush fund, and worse, and then agreed to a few mostly meaningless bits of oversight and some promises to help ordinary people. And they're actually the same bits of oversight from the 2008 TARP bailout, a 5-member oversight panel and an inspector general for the program. This article certainly has its own perspective and it has its own bias, to be fair, but I think it's worth considering. It points out, number one, that this is not a $2 trillion bill. As we discussed, it's closer to a $6 trillion bill, and $4.3 trillion of it comes in the form of a bazooka aimed at CEOs and shareholders with almost no conditions attached. In the opinion of this author, this is a robbery in progress. It's not a bailout for the coronavirus. That seems to be the dressing they're suggesting. Rather, it's a bailout for 12 years of corporate irresponsibility that made these companies so fragile that a few weeks of disruption would be enough to destroy them. The short-termism and lack of capital reserves funneled record profits into a bathtub of cash for investors. And that's who's being made whole: financiers and the small slice of the public that owns more than a trivial amount of stocks. In fact, they've already been made whole. Yesterday, Wall Street got the word that they'd be saved, and stocks and bonds went wild. BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, is running these bailout programs for the Fed and could explicitly profit if the Fed buys its funds, which it probably will. Again, a very select opinion, let's put it that way, one that I mostly happen to agree with from my perspective. Not only is it corporate irresponsibility here that's being rewarded, and look, I understand that there are businesses that are suffering. If you're part of one of those sectors, maybe you're in the hospitality sector, I get it that things are difficult, but I tend to agree. I think things are run very irresponsibly from a corporate level, from a forward planning, a foresight level, both at the corporate and the individual levels. It's amazing to me. I mean, it's absolutely astounding that a couple of weeks, maybe a month now, of disruption would knock anybody off balance. I mean, to be so fragile that's all it takes. I find it shocking personally. Anyways, let us know your thoughts about this. Again, The American Prospect, it's a good read if you want to check it out in full. We will link to it in the description below. Moving on now to altcoinbuzz.io, we're looking at Zcoin, a privacy and anonymity focused blockchain. Article here by Deepika, aiming to solve the privacy risks associated with cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. Zcoin, writes Deepika, is a cryptocurrency project based on decentralized blockchain tech, just like Bitcoin. While retaining all the characteristics of Bitcoin, it ensures full anonymity and security of the user transactions. With that, Zcoin solves a primary weakness of Bitcoin. It addresses the lack of privacy assurance that exists in Bitcoin. And I would encourage you guys to check this article out in full. We don't quite have time to go over it here, but it's a review that will cover the project, its latest developments, and of course, where Zcoin is heading in 2020. So from a top-level perspective, Deepika describes what exactly is Zcoin and what do the blockchain transactions, why rather do they even need privacy. What are some of the technological features of Zcoin? They include privacy protocol, details about minting in particular, and spending as well, mining, of course. Now let's get to the roadmap down below. That's what I find really interesting. So when asking what does Zcoin look like in 2020, make sure you're following at Zcoin Official on Twitter. Here's what they posted recently. Zcoin's technical roadmap for 2020. Under privacy, we have Lelantis, Aura, and Mixnets. Under Znodes, deterministic masternodes, long-lived masternode quorums, and chain locks. And under usability, mobile wallets with private TX support, rich UI wallet, and instant sync clients. For more information, you can check out zcoin.io. Well, everybody, it's that time of the week. It is Saturday, which means we're giving away a crypto tag Zeus starter kit. And since last week, we have generated 7 videos, and those are the numbers that I'm going to associate with the most recent video being our 7th video. And with that, we're going to go to the random number generator here with a minimum of 1 and a maximum of 7, selecting this week's number, which is lucky number 7. I can't believe how often that happens. It makes me doubt the veracity of that Google random number generator. But nevertheless, that brings us to this video here. Incredible Bitcoin use case, in which we discussed some different partnerships that were happening in the sector. So I'm going to go ahead, grab this URL, copy that. Now we insert this into our comment selector. Again, we select first a video at random and then a comment at random, thus corresponding to this week's winner. And the winner of this week's crypto tag Zeus starter kit is Armonia Dental Bogota with this comment: Kava staked at 15% on Binance. Hey, congratulations, Armonia. You are the winner of this week's crypto tag. Make sure you get in touch with us by linking up to our information that can be found in both the description below as well as the about section. Send us an email, send us your coordinates. We'll get back in touch with you. We'll start a dialogue and make sure we have all the info we need to send you your prize. Congratulations, Armonia. That about wraps it up for today, everybody. Do be sure you're following us on all the regular social media channels and keep checking back into altcoinbuzz.io for all the latest. Go ahead, like, subscribe, share, and hit the bell to receive notifications if you've enjoyed today's video. Best of luck if you choose to invest on this Saturday, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend, though, first and foremost. Have a great Saturday. We'll see you again tomorrow, hopefully in our next video. Until then, take care, everybody, and have a good one.